You know, the best thing about Christmas is the fact that you always get really cool new things. And for me, I got a dehydrator. That's right. We are going to break this thing. Well, we're going to break it in the only real way, the only real proper way, I guess you'd say. And that's by doing a little bit of deer jerky. That's right. I've got here a little bit of deer tenderloin that we are going to slice up, marinate, and, well, we're going to christen here our brand new toy. Now, for this, really simple ingredients. This jerky is one of those things that can be as complicated or as simple as you want. And in this case, I'm going to take a simple path. We've got a half a cup of soy sauce, a quarter cup of Worcestershire, whatever you want to call it, quarter cup of Worcestershire, a little bit of liquid smoke we're going to put on it, and I've got 2 tablespoons of Island Dust. Yeah, that's the name and brand. Island Dust seasoning from Lane's Barbecue. They're out of Bethlehem, Georgia, and they have a whole variety of good stuff. So go check them out. Let them know Bigfoot sent you. I'm not getting paid, commissions, nothing for it. I just really like their product, and I mean, if I can help them out a little bit, hey, why not? Now, to begin this, I have taken this and cut off all the silver skin. There's nothing here but lean meat, and that's the biggest thing with jerky. You don't want, like everything else you cook, you want that fat cap, you want that muscular fat, you want all that flavor. Well, with jerky, you want the opposite. You want no fat, you want lean meat, you want it to be just, I guess, just the meat itself, no silver skin, no nothing. Because as it dries down, since you're not smoking it or cooking it or anything like that, the fat doesn't really shrink and it gets kind of a bleh flavor. And then the silver skin just toughens up. Also, the other thing to look at is, depending on your cut, do you want to cut across the grain so that way you get more of a tender jerky, or do you go long ways, which is more of the traditional jerky? We're gonna get this right. Which is more of the traditional jerky. Now, in this case, I'm actually gonna cut this at a 45, so that way I'm kind of mixing both of them together. That way I've got a little longer strip, but it's not as chewy, I guess you'd say. So to begin this process, we're just gonna do a little bit of knife work. I'm gonna grab my friend, and we're gonna go to work. Now, as you're cutting this, make sure you're not getting them all different thicknesses, because if you've got a really thick piece and a really thin piece, when you put them in the dryer, you're not going to be even in your timing, and it's just not going to turn out right. So try to get them as close as you can to the same size. In this case, we're going to do about a 1/4 inch thickness for all the cuts. So 1/4 inch is about 6 millimeters. Now, I also put this in the freezer beforehand. I gave it about a 30-45 minute chill, because the colder the meat is, the easier it is to cut. You don't have to necessarily do this with deer. You can do this with beef or elk or anything else that you'd like to prepare this with. Just in today's case, well, I've got the deer tenderloin and I can't think of anything better to do with it. So now that we got our meat prepped, let's go ahead and work on the marinade, because that is actually just about as important as the thickness of this. Now, in this process, the big thing to think about is, I guess, your salty brine, because the salt is what helps get this started as far as getting the moisture out of it and getting some of the flavor into it. And that's why we've got our soy sauce. That's right. There's another channel on here, they like to call it liquid Asian salt. And they're not kidding, because soy sauce is nothing but salty salt. From there, we apply our Worcestershire, our Island Dust. I don't know. It's a good tasting seasoning, and I really like the name of it. So that's kind of why I'm using it on this. Again, they've got tons of different flavors. And I'm going to use a little bit of liquid smoke. If I didn't have something else going on, I would actually put it into the smoker to get the real smoke flavor. But in this case, well, I'm going to cheat. And I'm just going to seal this up real quick and give it a little shake, shake, shake. That way everybody's getting mixed together and happy. There. Again, this is not complicated. I mean, honestly, this is something you could do with the kids shy of the knife work. Like I say, if you want to do that and have the kids help you drop in the pieces, well, put them to work. And I will say this too, the marinade with that Island Dust in it smells pretty good just sitting here. I don't think I want to eat it direct, but for a potpourri, a nice little smell, good stuff. Now we're going to squeeze this down and then try to get as much air out of this as possible. That way we get everything marinating. just like so. I'm gonna smash this out a little bit so that way everything is in contact with the marinade. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna set this guy here, I'm gonna put it into the fridge. I'm gonna give it an overnight relaxing, cool timeout, I guess you'd say. When it's in the fridge, put this in the way of something, like if you drink a lot of Coke, put it in front of the Coke or the milk or butter, whatever, something where you have to, every time you go to the fridge, you wind up touching it and moving it. That way the marinade gets mixed around and you play with it, and you don't have, like tomorrow, there won't be, I guess bald spot would be what you'd call it. That way there's no bald spots inside of here. So while this is marinating, another big recommendation, again, because like I said, this is my brand new baby, it's gonna go on the front porch, and I'm gonna plug it in and I'm gonna put it on its highest setting, and I'm gonna let it dehydrate air, for lack of a better word. That way you burn off all the brand new smell, because you know, you may have a little bit of smoke, a little bit of an off flavor. And to have something as good as this, to go in here, to then turn around and have that metallic burnt oil, no. So this has got 12 hours in the fridge. This has got an hour outside, and we are gonna pause this video until tomorrow. That's right, the power of editing. I mean, makes the day go by like boom. See, just like that, it's tomorrow. Of course, tomorrow is now actually today, and today is Happy New Year Day. That's right, it's the 1st. So in case you're wondering how long it takes me to actually make the video versus I release them versus how far into the future you guys are watching this. Well, today is the 1st of 20 and 24. Ooh, fancy stuff. Yep, I just dated this video hard. All right, our deer tenderloin has had a night in the fridge with about 6 times it's been massaged to get all the seasoning in everywhere. So now, well, it's time to pull it out. And since this is a wet marinade, the wetter it is when you put it in the dehydrator, the longer it takes. I mean, obviously it takes energy and science and all that to make the water go away. So let's put it in a little bit drier. So what I'm gonna do, I've got myself about 6 paper towels here. And what I'm gonna do is open this up, and we are just gonna place all of this on the paper towel, so that way we can get at least a little bit of the extra moisture off of it. Okay, there's our first batch. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but already just from soaking in the salts and all the marinade, the size of this has already come down a little bit. We've already exchanged some of the water for flavor. So now we're gonna set these on the tray. Now, the nice thing about these trays here, they come with a silicone mat on them, which, believe me, if you've ever done jerky before, you know anything you put in a dehydrator, it tends to stick to the metal. Well, with the silicone mats, they peel right off. And since we've already got these where the extra moisture on the bottom pulled off, we're just gonna pick them up and lay them down right here on the mats. And make sure when you guys are laying them on the mat that you don't lay them on top of each other and they've got room to breathe. All right, tray number 1. And as you can see, this is a huge dehydrator. I mean, this thing is awesome. I'm gonna give them lots of space to breathe. So I'm gonna pull that one there and go under. Also, when you're drying things out, you wanna make sure that you keep it to one thing. Meaning I don't want to put the meat on the top and vegetables on the bottom and mushrooms in the middle or anything like that. You want to do one type. Now, I mean, could you do deer and elk at the same time? Yeah, because I mean, you're both doing a meat, but you don't want to just mix up everything. They dry at different times, and sometimes you can have a carry through flavor. And I mean, I don't know. I don't think mushroom flavored steak would probably be pretty good, but there are just some things you wouldn't want to do that with. All right, looks like 2 pounds of tenderloin got us about 3 trays in the dehydrator. So we'll load this bad boy up right here. Now, yesterday when I was cooking this thing off outside, I was surprised. I never got any smoke or any funky smell or anything off of it. But I did put a temp probe in it. I noticed empty, it was running about 10 degrees warmer. So I'm gonna do that again. With it loaded up with just the 3 trays in it, we're gonna check the temp and see how it does, see if it's within the 10. But for now, what we're gonna do, we're gonna turn it on. I'm gonna set the temp up to 160. And for the time, we are going to go for, there we go. We're gonna go for 4 hours. Now, that doesn't mean it necessarily will be done at 4 hours, but I'm gonna let it go 4 hours. I'm gonna pull it out, check it. Probably in the 2 hour mark, I'm also gonna pull the trays and rotate them around. So that way I know everything is getting the way it should. So while we've got time to wait on this, let's see what Benson was doing on New Year's Eve. Might be interesting. Happy New Year, my dear. You know what the best part about this year is gonna be? Please, my dear, let me know. Why, that we can watch Bigfoot Cooking all year long. I completely agree. It is my favorite show, you know. Well, Happy New Year to Benson too. You gotta admit, we're starting off in the right way. This thing right here, it's done with its 4 hours, and I got a little bit busy, so it actually, after the 4 hours, it kind of powered down and it just sat here. It's cooled the whole way down, and I was kind of watching it with this guy just to see how the temperature was going in it. And with it set at 160, the air temp in it stayed to about 180. So I guess that's kind of the, you got to heat it up a little hotter to get the food a little hotter kind of thing. But once it climbed up when you first turned it on, and then it settled down at 180, and it pretty much stayed there the whole time. It wasn't doing a whole lot of fluctuation once it set. So let's see what's hiding inside. We'll start out, let's see. We will grab the top tray here and see. We've got our little jerky bites. Now you noticed this was the first tray I did, and like you see, everything has shrunk up a little bit, but as far as texture goes, nothing, I mean, look at here, nothing is stuck to the tray. The silicone mat, really good in my book. And this is one of the thicker pieces here. So as I bend it, like you see, it's still slightly, I don't know if the word is chewy or not, but it's dried out nicely and it's not rock hard. That's the main thing. I mean, everybody's kind of got their differences. And if you look back earlier, actually, I made a video where I made biltong, which is kind of a South African beef jerky. And I made it out of a brisket, and it was really good. But this right here, like I say, a little bit thicker, but really it's already dried. It's still a little warm, so maybe once it finishes cooling off, it'll go ahead and do that hard set. But well, let's see how she tastes. Tell you what, I like that island dust. That is good. I mean, now I know everybody's a little different with their deer, but with this stuff, I actually there's a proper way to do deer. You can't just like shoot it, freeze it, and then cook it later. You have to let it age a little bit. And that's the biggest thing to get some of that sharp, gamey taste out of it, is letting it age and letting it, there's all kinds of YouTube channels on that. I'll let them guys do it. They're the pros. But we aged this before we cooked it. Well, I guess I jerky did it. I really didn't cook it. But we aged it before we processed it. There we go. And the taste is magnificent. So for now, I've got some jerky to eat. I want you guys to give this a try. I mean, this is good. So until next time, remember, like, subscribe, share. Anyway, hit the like button and the subscribe button, help a brother out. And remember that Bigfoot is real. Really celebrating New Year's and really gonna eat some jerky. Y'all take care.